Hello, hello, testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2. We are absolutely on. Back for another Patreon video. We got the plant, we got the tea, we're back. I hope you've had a great week and we're here to talk more about the ultra training process. I've got my notes here and I've got an extremely dense amount of juice written down, which we will cover. Let's do a quick recap. So far, we have covered why you would do an ultra, training duration, and warm up. Last week, we covered two of the major key lessons that you are looking to extract from the ultra training process. We got a few more paint strokes to do with the big brush, and then we can come in with a little one and start to do some details. In reference to that training pyramid I talked about last week, shouts to Eric Helms, we are making our way up the pyramid. We are talking about what is essential to the training protocol. Later on, we can get to sauna, ice bath, all these other things that we can season the training process with and do have a noticeable benefit. But these are the fundamentals. So let's get into it. Let's go over the mindset that you have cultivated this far. At this point of the training program, you are an alchemist. You have dispensed of good and bad, no labels anymore. Everything is brought onto the path as a means of transformation. This means fear, doubt, anxiety, every single unfavorable emotion is brought onto the path through the power of your view and focus. This transformative power that you are cultivating the whole time throughout the training process will foster a true sense of genuine confidence within you, because you will finally be able to trust your own ability to transform obstacles into opportunities. You no longer feel helpless and regain a true sense of power. In the ultra sense, this means that you are no longer seeking favorable external conditions, because you now understand and have a true realization that the most favorable condition is a healthy, strong mind, which you are in control of. Your trust in the training program is unshakable, which allows you to manage your energy correctly. It allows you to push when you need to, and it also allows you to relax, keeping you fresh and attentive, ready to do what needs to be done at any given moment. Now that we got that out of the way, let's move on. Naturally, we're going to focus on what is primary, and that is mind. The physiology is second to that. In my experience, and I have seen it firsthand, you can have a world-class functional threshold power. I'm talking enough to be in the pro peloton, but literally you can be reduced by your own mind to the capacity of a noob. What I want to cover today is lifestyle and big training rides or training days. Lifestyle is an extremely important point, especially if you want to get the most out of your training. And I'm going to do my best to share with you what I have learned about lifestyle this far. Sometimes your ability to live the lifestyle you would like to doesn't actually match your current capability. What I mean by that is, when you embark on the training process, you look at your lifestyle in a way to where you want to make changes so that it is a conducive environment to facilitate your training. Much like what we talked about last week with the tri-directional benefits of ethics, meditation, and training. When I started training, I genuinely wanted to live an ethical, disciplined way of life. But my habits were so deeply entrenched that it would take me 10 plus years to slowly uproot those habits. As my lifestyle changed, I moved closer to the ideals that I was striving for. I was able to get more out of the training process. I was, like I said last week, becoming a more suitable vessel to receive the blessings of the training. Because if it's just straight percentages, if 70% of the time you got these habits pulling you this way, and then you're trying to reverse them 30% of the time that way, you can't really make progress. And oftentimes, you're still just sliding backwards. Let's talk about the lifestyle changes you can possibly make. That includes me, to make your environment a more conducive incubation chamber for the ultra training process. The biggest lifestyle change we're going to talk about, and possibly the only one we're going to talk about today, because it is so big and crucial, is related to stimulation. We are so overstimulated, way beyond the natural limit, that the world itself is not enough for us anymore. We do this with TV, porn, movies, mindless gossip. The list goes on, literally to the point where we desaturate the color out of life and it is not enough for us anymore. The result of living a life that is overstimulated in all the wrong ways is that when you go out there into the natural world, for example, in an activity like Ultra, you get bored extremely fast, and as soon as you get bored, depression and anxiety set in and you pull the pin. What I'm suggesting that you try on is the idea of radically simplifying your life, almost like a detox, so that you can resensitize yourself to the natural world. You will allow for the vibrancy to be restored to your everyday life. Initially, this can feel like you're weaning yourself off drugs, and it literally does feel like you're weaning yourself off drugs. But with enough courage and persistence, you will begin to notice that you are starting to extract more from your everyday experience. Put simply, it will start to feel enough for you. Have the courage to let go of the mindless, petty entertainment and watch your life become the real source of entertainment. Have the courage to let yourself get bored. Cross that point where usually you would seek out meaningless stimulation, and then watch in real time new potentials for your life open up. If you continue to pacify your boredom with meaningless stimulation, nothing will open up. You will literally be in the exact same position. Straight up, boredom is a great teacher. It's there for a reason. By not fragmenting your focus so much, you reclaim a shit ton of energy. And I'm talking thermonuclear status levels of energy that now you can redirect into your life. Especially with your laser focus, it's like pumping that energy through a magnifying glass, directed at whatever you want. Hear me out. The straight presence you gain is enough of a reward. It's as if the most beautiful painting were right in front of you. You know what I mean? Like a David statue or a Mona Lisa. Whatever you can think of. Think of the most beautiful piece of art was right in front of you. But because of your fragmented focus and because of the desaturation from the overstimulation, it looks black and white to you and blurry. Another great way of looking at it is as if you had swapped out all the natural sugars in your diet for aspartame. Now, aspartame is 200 times more sweeter than natural sugar. So I come up to you and I'm like, holy fuck, man, there's this amazing fruit that exists in the world. It's called a custard apple. It is literally like nectar. It is a miracle. When you eat a custard apple, it's so naturally sweet that you can't help but think, who put this custard apple here? Where did it come from? Why is it so sweet? It's like candy. I could bring you that. This like ambrosial custard apple. You could eat that and literally go, it tastes bland to me. Because you're so used to the artificial sweetness, natural sugar doesn't cut it anymore for you. You could have access to the most sweet, delicious fruits, but because of your overstimulation to your taste buds, you would rather drink artificial Pepsi Max. You can get so used to the intense stimulation, all the technology that we were talking about before, that the natural world isn't enough for you. You are setting yourself up for an existence where you literally receive less pleasure from the world. As your lifestyle shifts and you begin to de-stimulate yourself, you now start to reinstate the beauty that is encoded into the present moment of our everyday lives. The most monotonous things take on a whole new meaning. What's more monotonous than leg up, leg down, leg up, leg down? It's now as if you're in this unique experience where you get a first-hand view to one of the most wondrous things of the world. Forget the Taj Mahal, forget Niagara Falls, you are now privy to a first-hand viewing experience of the greatest wonder of the world. And that is being a fully conscious human being at the center of your own experience, might I add, acknowledging the reality that there is 7+ billion people doing the exact same thing. What do you think happens when you take this new way of being into Ultra, which is considered by many one of the most boring things you can do? Well, it becomes less boring. It becomes more stimulating. You will naturally find yourself wanting to actually stay out there rather than run home back to petty stimulation. Specifically in reference to my own experience, I'll tell you what it was like. When I first started training for Ultra, it was like my home, my physical home, the walls I grew up in. They had a magnetic charge. Every time I left to go out for a long training ride, it was just drawing me back. I was genuinely struggling to stay out there because I was tethered. I was tethered to the stimulation that took place in my home. And every time I would go out away from that stimulation into the natural world to do any task, it was pulling me back because I was literally withdrawing. As I started to uproot these habits and destimulate myself, resensitize myself to the natural world, I found that naturally, without additional effort beyond having the courage to let go of this shit, that I was enjoying myself more. I actually wanted to stay out there more. There became less and less to go home to. And you realize that home is not a three-dimensional place in space-time reality. Shifting to that home is wherever you are. That's home. Everything becomes home to you. So that when you're out there in Ultra, you don't long for home because you're always bringing it with you. You are always there. So I'm going off on a tangent. That's another video. In summary, the key points are here. Begin to de-stimulate your life so that the natural world becomes more stimulating to you. You will find it easier to stay out there and it will become more pleasant to you. Also, I just want to throw in a little point just to highlight how useless the meaningless stimulating distractions can be. And I'm not saying don't watch any entertainment, but I'm just trying to highlight to you that there becomes this point where you cross a healthy amount. And that's only can be decided by you. So now we're saying that this overstimulation lessens your ability to get pleasure from the natural world. Now that's really fucked up. But not only that, it is really limiting, stopping, stunting your growth and your ability to fulfill your destiny as a human being, purely based on the fact that we waste so much of our experience engaged in it. The average Netflix time, I think this was in 2022 or 2020, in the US was 3.2 hours per day. So that's excluding all the other shit and all the other fucking meaningless ways we distract ourselves, right? Hear this out, 3.2 hours per day. Let's call it 3. Let's be kind and call it 3. You might not be 3 hours a day, but this is just collectively, right? 21 hours per week, 84 per month, 1,008 per year. Let's look at what 1,008 hours of viewing Netflix looks like. It looks like this, 42 days. Imagine sitting in a chair for 42 consecutive days with your eyes opened up, watching Netflix. To me, that sounds like some MK Ultra, some really fucked up brainwashing. Another statistic, if that doesn't tickle your fancy, is roughly 6 months of full-time work, as in 40-hour work weeks. Are you kidding me? 6 months. Imagine if I said I'm about to hand you an extra 6 months of full-time work, which you can dedicate to any endeavor that you possibly desire. And imagine how much you would advance. Imagine how much you would advance if we, as a society, had the balls, the straight fucking balls, to let go of the petty entertainment for 1 year. For 1 year, you would reclaim 6 months of full-time work into any endeavor that you could possibly desire. Fuck me. I honestly didn't think I'd hit that point in this video, but I'm realizing as I'm saying it, you guys are giving me the ability to learn myself how ridiculous it is. Guys, I'm sorry for going, I need a bit of tea. It was getting hectic there. I feel like we got everything we needed to about lifestyle there. And honestly, even just that Netflix equation to me is staggering. It reminds me and inspires me that if I truly want to make genuine, real progress in any endeavor I choose in this life, I have to have the courage to not use the anesthesia of these distractions. That's all it is, anesthesia. It's just numbing us.